Hi everyone, it's Cindy. Welcome back to Mass Make March here on Studioloo. So we are on day number 20 and we are making tuck spots today. If you're looking for more info on Mass Make March, please check the description box and you will be able to find the prompts and the link to other things. So I have a whole stack of things here, random, all sorts of stuff. So I'm just going to go ahead and make tuck spots. What is a tuck spot? It is like a little thing. It's a very open-ended kind of, thing. But if we imagine that this is a tuck spot, it would be glued here and allow you to tuck something into it. It's essentially like a two-sided pocket-ish kind of thing. So I've gone to the liberty of already backing some of these smaller things that I want to make into tuck spots just real quickly, so you didn't have to watch me just glue sticks that we can move on. So I'm going to just get started with the stuff I've already backed. So we're really going to hustle today. I just need to check the time. Let's see. Home. I just need to see what time we're at here. Oh, okay, echo, home screen. Okay, so we're going to get started now, and I have an hour to work. The first thing, this is actually just a collage board that I made on collage board day. And I've used some of it already, but I'm going to use the remainder of it as tuck spots. So I think for this I can just use my little guillotine here, unless I need to grab my big one. So I think here makes sense. And then over here. Oops, I knew that was a little off, just a little. There we go. Let's have to trim this side again, just a little bit. And for me, what makes a tuck spot look a little bit more like a tuck spot when they're these little shapes, it's actually just kind of like rounding one corner so that you know like this is the side you tuck from. So I guess I'd recommend do some on either side so that like you have a sensible, collection of pockets or tuck spots that you can use on either side of your paper. Yes. Okay. So put those aside. Okay. Just set that over here. So then what I want to do with these is get my big guillotine. So I think these frogs came from an Etsy shop called Farm Mirage, which I don't know if it's there anymore. I thought I looked for it one day and it wasn't there, but it might be. I don't know. Do not quote me on that. But they have a lot of ATC type digitals. A lot of stuff they pull from the public domain, from like vintage books. From what I can tell, I don't know them personally, but I do find I like the little ATCs that they make. So I have a few of them that I printed ages ago, and they've just been waiting to live their best life here. So we're going to make them all into these little tuck spots. And it makes it really easy to kind of pre-glue and then be able to guillotine cut these. So for those of you who've been watching for a while and you're missing my Tuesday 10 videos, to be completely honest, all of the materials I've been pulling recently have all come out of the Tuesday 10 bin. So this is kind of like, a series of Tuesday 10 videos. There isn't the amplified stress of me having to keep going until I use everything up, but but there is other kinds of amplified stress, right? if you're mask making with me and you're trying to do it in the same cadence as I am, you'll know what I mean. We're doing our best, right? Okay, let's try to straighten that. That's better. Sometimes these folders, it's a little hard to cut on the one edge because of that tab. These are some digitals, and I have no idea who they're from because I've had them printed for probably a year. I don't know, a long time though. And I thought I was going to make journals that were going to be like sewing related, and then I ended up just not. I continued on my merry way. This I'm just going to set aside actually. I'll make the tuck spots with these. Okay. And I don't know why I never made them, but we change our mind over time, right? So you have to go with what you're inspired by. Okay. All right, and those little button cards are great for all sorts of different kinds of journal themes. So I just pick these up, put them over here beside my teacup in the finish pile. These are going to have to get hand cut because I have to select from those. This is another ATC sheet from Farmer Rush. They're like these little botanical cards. So I just want to get these ones out of the way first. And then we'll make some that have a little more originality to them. And I could also see myself using multiples of these together to make like a tuck spot that's like a little more interesting. Like maybe I would glue them together like this, and we'd have like, you know, like you would hold cards. That could be its own little tuck spot. I cut out a lot of basic shapes in my work, but then I end up using them in all different multitudes of ways. So there is no guarantee on what will happen. All right. Alright, now these, there's nothing else that I can guillotine, I don't think. Nope, we're done with the guillotine now. Okay, so these are some digitals that I don't know who they're from, but also I noticed that some of them do not have that good of a quality of print. It's very strange. Some are very crisp, others are not so much, and I don't know if it's the quality at which these were scanned when they were created, or if it was how my printer printed. I'm not sure, but I've had them for quite some time, not exactly sure what to do with them. So today I'm just going to be selective about which ones I want to use. I'm just going to use the ones that have a nice crisp quality to them, and I'm just going to cut them out. They've been backed with folder, and I'm not going to cut the individual buttons out. I don't have the patience or the need for those right now. Okay, this one looks pretty good. I think most of them are pretty good, but it's just the odd one that is too blurry. And I will take a second look at the digital once I find it on my computer, because I may want to use them again, and I hope it's just that it was a strange print or something, because these are just amazing button cards. This one is good. The only other one I think I'll use is this bluebird one. Okay, so that's that done. And then this one, actually these all look pretty good, so I'll just cut these all out. I bought these digitals a long time ago, and I think now I look a lot more closely at digitals. So this one, I'm just going to share this with you. Again, I don't know who these are from, but one thing to look out for is if people are using things that are copyright free or not. So this kitty button cutout one, I'm not going to use it with this squirrel, unfortunately, because it's a little blurry, but the reason mainly is there's a watermark right there. So that means that that image was taken from somewhere that it didn't, you know, it shouldn't have been. Because if you're going to be, you know, scanning and selling old things, you're not going to upload something that has a watermark on it to your customers, obviously. And that's also a very popular watermark that I see a lot on eBay. I think that's where it came from. It was probably a picture on eBay. I remember that from a long time ago. I have not shopped on eBay in a long time. I don't know why that is. I just never really think to. Do you use eBay? Tell me how it is these days. Living in Canada, it was always kind of a pain because shipping is so expensive. And like, I don't know. I always found eBay, like sellers would kind of gouge on shipping because they would either use eBay's like standardized shipping calculator thing, which does not in any way like work properly, or at least it didn't when I used to use it, or they would just like randomly charge you like, you know, $75 or something to have something like a book shipped to you. You gotta be very careful. Shipping has gotten very difficult though. I mean, it's always been kind of difficult unless you were in the United States, but I think even now the United States, which I think for a very long time was really underpriced, and that I think had two effects. Number one, it created like an unfair divide with the rest of the world in terms of, you know, if people would buy things, because like I know as a Canadian, for the longest time people would not buy from me because, you know, they would get free shipping in the US, but I'm in Canada, so you know, it was more expensive or what have you. But also like there was a lot of flat rate, really cheap shipping, and like I couldn't believe how cheap it was. I used it to send some very large boxes of like clothing to someone in need when I was in the US. We had a situation, and we were able to ship, like, which was great, like drop ship these big boxes of clothing and shoes across the country. So it was really great. But I remember thinking like this would cost so much more in Canada. And I think it also kind of hurt the United States a bit too, and that now, you know, they're kind of feeling the brunt of the costs going up because, yeah, it's expensive to run that kind of an operation, you know. So now I'm going to get into the fun stuff. So this is from a ceramic magazine. Obviously you can see Ceramics Monthly here. These are old ceramics magazines. And I absolutely love making these kind of tuck spots. So I'm just going to tear off what I know I'm not going to use, because I'll show you what we're going to do here. But yeah, now things are a little easier, at least for me, for shipping, because I'm able to ship to the United States pretty decently. I have my own courier service that uses the United States Postal Service in the US from Canada Post, and I'm able to get a bit of a discount, which is nice. And I also can track all of my shipments in a nice dashboard, and you know, I'm also now able to easily calculate shipping estimates for international customers. So if you've been, you know, wanting to buy a journal from me, but you see that in my shop I don't ship to anywhere but the United States and Canada, I do have a note in my header sort of my shop that if you're international, just to reach out to me and we'll have a conversation, and you know, I'll get your address and I'll be able to provide you an exact estimate of the cost, and you can then make an informed, you know, judgment-free decision from me if you still would like to proceed. Because I do that because I find Etsy, like most of these, you know, shop platforms, it's just not that good at actually calculating the shipping, especially at the right price, the best price. So, and the shipping labels are a little more costly if you get them directly from the platform, so I don't do any of that. All right, so that's a fun tuck spot. Then we're going to do the same thing with this frog. This is a frog from like a woodworking book, I believe, or some kind of a vintage crafting book. And it's talks about how to carve these on the top of walking canes. And I think my favorite tuck spots and pockets are like these freeform shaped ones. They're just like so interesting in journals. Let's see if this will fit here. I think it will. Yeah. Let's go with the next thing that I want to cut out. We'll fill up this whole folder and then we'll go from there. All I want from here is just this little purple flower. Okay, and then this one, it's like a cool old like cash register type thing. I'm gonna take the people that are on the top off though. Okay. And then I want to use this little birdhouse. Just cut this away and then I can use this negative space. right. Let's kind of fussy cut this out. Okay, there's that one. And then the frog. Okay. There we go. I feel like I should be pausing to do this fussy cutting, but then we wouldn't be doing just this mass make event. And I'd be cheating in the background and making all sorts more, right? Okay. Go. All right, that's all of those ones. Next, what did I want to do with these? I think I wanted to make little fussy cuts, maybe. I'll use this one, or not fussy cuts, but tuck spots. But I think I'm going to just use that one. The other ones are a little small. So maybe what we'll do now is just tear out a few things. Get them down to the size that we want to glue. I want to use these Matryoshka dolls. This is a little tuck spot. Oh yeah, and then I have some more fun ceramic sculptures from the ceramics magazines. Let's bring these all down to size here. This one is this cool like sculpture of this woman that has a lamb on her head. A bigger version of our big friend. This is the Talking Head by Deb Fleck Stabley. Okay. I guess I'll put a top off that too. Oh yeah, and then I have these, which they just need to get cut out and maybe embellished a bit. I'm going to set them aside because I don't know if we're going to have time. Those are just my technical drawings. And on this page, it's all bent up. I just wanted one thing, and it was just this yellow, these yellow flowers. Sometimes I end up keeping these enormous pieces of paper when all I want is some tiny little thing on it. And that's that tiny little thing. And this horrible poem, I don't want. I just want the little image at the top. Okay. I think I'll save just this maybe. I'll go back in the bin. Tuck spot. I love these. Oh my gosh, I love these. And I think I'm going to make 2 tuck spots with those. One. Cut some of that blue off the bottom. There we go. I don't want to use that one. Yeah, this one I want to make a seashell tuck spot with this little seashell at the bottom here. And then this, I'm just going to glue the whole thing down. It's sort of the same idea, little tuck spots with these little motifs, stenciled images. Okay. So now we just have to do a bunch of gluing down. Let's see if we have anything small first. So I could put this one on here. We'll just be like a bit of an assembly line here and get these all glued down. So I think one of my challenges in doing this daily series, because it's a mass make and they're like longer videos, I'm running out of things to talk about because I don't do enough stuff in between, like, you know, when I make one video and the next. So I feel like I'm going to be repeating myself if I talk to you too much. But that's okay. I was having a laugh this morning though. My daughter had a swim class at our gym, and our gym, the swimming instructors, it's mostly staffed by like young people, you know, students, and they're like the loveliest, most amazing, patient, kind, friendly people. Like, I can't believe how nice these people, these young people all are. They're just so awesome. And you know, they're teaching little kids how to swim. But man, I gotta say, the level of patience that they have is not necessary for the kids, but for the parents. Holy moly. So, you know, we are still in the wintry months here in Canada. March is still wintry. And so, you know, there was a storm, and there's a ton of road salt and, you know, sand and all that kind of stuff. And so, like, you would think it would be common sense, and also you'd think by all of the signage that's like literally everywhere, that the parents would listen to, you know, don't come onto the pool deck with your outside shoes. I swear every single one of them practically is just, you know, abhorrently ignoring you know, all of this. And I, like, the lifeguard supervisor who was there is like the nicest guy. We always see him when we do our weekly family swims. He's working during the day because I think he's probably doing a more full-time job there. And he's like repeatedly going up and saying, okay, everyone, you know, can everyone please get over, you know, if you don't have flip-flops or your bare feet, if you have outdoor shoes on, I need you off the pool deck, you need to be over the line, you know, da 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 da. Like, he must have had to say this to people 6 times while I was there for half an hour, and it was the same offenders. They just kept coming back in like they're sneaking in or something. And I'm just like, you know, the reason that these people are asking you to do this is actually for your own good and the good of your own children, because, like, this stuff's really nasty on the skin. First of all, you don't want to be like in your bare feet, fresh from a swim, and coming out and stepping in this road salt and like muck, you know, but mainly the road salt. and the de-icers and stuff they put in sand. And oh man, he was so patient. I feel like I would have been like, all right, let's crack a whip here. It was insane. So, yeah, I just kind of sat on the floor, and at one point he just looked at me and kind of like, didn't roll his eyes, but I feel like he wanted to. I just kind of smiled, and he smiled. It was, but I was having this conversation that was really nice with my friend online today. So, you know, yesterday we had this big, well, the day before yesterday, really, we had this big snowstorm. And then yesterday we had to, in the morning, you know, get rid of all the snow and do all the shoveling. And there was a lot of snow. So my daughter loves to go outside with her dad to do the shoveling. And so they were outside doing that. And, you know, eventually, like, my son was out there too, but he doesn't have as much endurance for this as my daughter does. He is not as enthralled by the good deed of shoveling as she is. So my husband texted me, and he's like, hey, can you come get the boy, because this is rough. And I was like, yeah, sure, I'll be right there. So I came up, and I
How did the coffee get so strong?
Oh my gosh.
By doing the French press.
I don't know why this device just randomly tells terrible jokes. It just does. I don't know why. So I'm sorry about that. But anyways, so I went upstairs, and I got my son, and we hung out for the afternoon. And like 2.5 hours later, it's like lunchtime. So, you know, I peered outside, and I said to my husband, I'm like, you guys coming in soon? I'm gonna make lunch. What's going on? And so he's like, oh yeah, you know, he's like, our neighbor, who we only sort of know them. They've lived here for about a year, and they're renters from our old neighbor who still owns the house, but he moved away, and he's renting it out to, like, there's like several people in there, and I think all of them work a lot, and I rarely see them, but every time we see them, you know, we kind of wave at them. And so my husband said, you know, the neighbors are gonna they're gonna buy our daughter a hot chocolate because, you know, she helped them shovel so much. And I was like, oh, that's nice. Okay, so I won't, you know, disrupt that. And so, like, he's like, we'll be in probably in 15 to 20 minutes. I said, okay, you know, I'll go get lunch going. And so then I found out, like, from my husband, what happened was, like, he got outside, and, you know, they started shoveling, and then when he was about halfway through, that's when our neighbors all started to kind of erupt out of their houses. So we have our neighbors across the street, there's like 2 houses that are sort of the closest to us across the street, and the neighbors that we know, you know, they're kind of senior, so we always help them out. So as soon as my daughter saw them come out, she's like, oh, you know, so she abandons my husband in our driveway and heads over to their driveways. And, like, my husband's not even half done ours, and she's like harking at him to come over and help them. So he's like, I gotta finish this first, and then I'll be over there. So, you know, so she helped those 2 senior neighbors shovel out. And, you know, for a 6-year-old, she actually is pretty good with their shovel. She clears the snow. And so then, our other neighbors, they're a little, you know, younger, but we found out, like, yesterday, like, when she said to me that she wanted to stay out with Dad, she wanted to help the neighbors shovel and stuff, and she was referring to our neighbor as this guy or that guy. So I'm always trying to tell her, because I don't know if it's all kids or just my daughter, but she often gets too, like, excited to ask people their names, and she never knows people's names, or she forgets their names. So we're trying to, like, have her ask people their names, because a lot of people ask her name, and then, you know, I'm trying to have her do the same thing, because it's a great way to, like, you know, learn someone's name, and then I tell her to repeat it, go, oh, that's a nice name, or to say what she thinks about their name, so that it would help her to remember the names. So then she did that. She learned our neighbor's name, and she learned the other woman who's living there, she's actually going to be having a baby soon, and so she learned that, and then she helps them shovel the whole driveway. And so the nicest thing was, my husband told me that the reason that they bought her the hot chocolate, it wasn't just because she helped them, like shovel. So the guy had said to her yesterday, he's like, I've lived here in Canada for 10 years now. And his sister, who's the one who's pregnant, has lived here for 2 years. And he said, you helping us shovel is the nicest thing that anyone has done for us as long as we've lived here. And I just thought, like, wow, like, not in the vein of like, wow, my child is so amazing, but like, it made me think a lot about, like, obviously I understand the immigrant experience is not ideal in North America a lot of the time. And where I live, it's kind of, I live in a city, but it's changed a lot in, I would say, the last 10 years, especially, maybe the last 20 years, 15 years. That, it used to be made up entirely, I would say, of people from actually Eastern Canada, oddly enough, like the provinces in Eastern Canada, specifically Newfoundland, and a lot of farming, but like everything in the greater Toronto area, it's changing. It's becoming more and more diverse, and it's been diverse. I mean, I remember being a kid and like a little kid and going to that Metropolitan Toronto Zoo, as it was called at the time, and just being, as a kid who grew up in a very culturally limited and small village, I just remember being like so wowed and interested and enthralled by all the different people when I would come up to the city to go to the zoo or to go somewhere like that. And, all these years later, it's still quite a cultural divide. I'd say it's a lot better that there's like, definitely, like anywhere else, a huge push for more diversity and inclusion and equality and justice, but it still obviously isn't equal, and so it's little things like that that just kind of make me think like, and you think a lot more closely about how you first of all treat people, even if it's like the little things, like getting impatient with someone because, they need you to repeat your order or, whatever it is, right? Like the little daily inconveniences that you have. It makes you think more when it's like something where somebody can say that, this is the nicest thing that anyone's ever done for me. And it's like such a neighborly thing. Like I look at it and I go like, which one of us didn't grow up? All of us, like, shoveling our neighbor's walk or whatever, and who still isn't doing that. And I guess maybe because they're not, seniors or anything. It's just, I think they were dumbfounded that we were, I don't know, like that we were helping. And so I had a really nice conversation because I shared this with a friend of mine online, and one of my friends had said, since the pandemic began, right, it's like, I think a lot of kindness has gone out the window. It's just not natural to people anymore. And, the opposite, the mean kind of behaviors have been amplified. And I thought it was an interesting reply to my conversation about doing a kindness. So then I said, maybe. I think that's true sometimes. But I'm also seeing the opposite. Like, I'm also seeing that, people felt some degree of loneliness when we were all locked up, that maybe, we missed what we had before. Like, I mean, some of what we had before, not all of it, but some of it for sure. I know I missed the daily, like, smiles and stuff. Like, for me, the biggest impact on me was when I had my daughter, my first child. I really loved that for the first couple, 2-3 years of her life, that everywhere we went, it was a reason to talk to people because they all wanted to tell me how cute she was or how funny she was or whatever she was doing, like how little kids are kind of cooed over. And with my son, he was born like 3 months before lockdown. So it was like we never had the opportunity to enjoy our son being like celebrated in the same way that our daughter was as a little baby. He really saw almost no one, even his own family, for, quite a long time. So that was the big impact to me. And so then, like, in the conversation today with my friends, like my one friend said, here's the thing, right? We can say that people have become like less kind and all of that, but like we can't sit around and wait around looking for other people to be kind to us. Like we have to, go out and like kind of love bomb in that way, right? Like we have to do that ourselves. And it's so true. It's so true. Like, I think that there's so many ways that you can kind of do that at the end of the day, you're just going to feel better if you like go out of your way to do a little something. Like I follow this therapist. She's just an incredible woman. Her name is Jacqueline Wetzel, Wetzel. And I actually follow her on Facebook, but I'm sure she has other platforms too, Instagram definitely. And she's like the nicest person, and I love her. She does this thing, and it's called Black Friends Friday. So she is a Black woman, and she's talking about, this idea where like there needs to be a space that feels safe for people who are not Black, and want to ask like questions without coming off insensitively as like, oh, well, I have a Black friend, so it's okay to say this kind of thing. And, it isn't. A lot of the time when people talk in that vein, it really isn't. But like she creates this space where it's like a judgment-free place that people can ask questions about, like, how to be better at being an ally, or how to be better with equality and diversity and all these kind of topics. She talks about like microaggressions and, the real impact of things. And she doesn't do it in this way that a lot of things get framed, like this is political, or you're doing this for money, or like, I don't know, it's weird. It's like, if you've spent any time trying to navigate this space, which hopefully you have, because it is so important, yeah, she just does it right. And why I'm talking about her is that she exhibits so much kindness publicly. Like I'm just enthralled by her all the time. And she did this thing the other day where she shared like a Starbucks card online. And so like you could like buy yourself a coffee and then you could add more money to it or whatever. And it was so nice. For the longest time, people were just like, oh, just reloaded it with $25. Oh, thank you for the tea. And like, it was the nicest conversation to just kind of watch. And I saw it in the morning, but then unfortunately, like by the next day, somebody had of course ruined it for everyone by buying like some merchandise at Starbucks, like a mug or something, right? And it made me think about, like, you can't let that cramp your style. And she's going to do it again, but in a different space probably. But yeah, it's like the kind of cool like people like that just make me always think like, it's so easy to just do things like this. It was like when we did the walk for the coldest night of the year for our community. Like, you don't do these things to be like appreciated or anything. Like we just kind of talk to like the people, like my online kind of community, because that's how I raised, money for the charity. But like the best thing about it, I think, was like the energy when we were there. Just being around a lot of people who had the same thoughts in mind, It's like such a nice crowd to be around. Okay, so I continued on as I was chatting. I made a few little tiny things. These could be little tiny tuck spots, but I'm not going to count them. I'm just going to like keep them separate. They're like little label snippety bits that I use for things. Now these, I'm going to embellish these with a sticker, I think. So the first thing I want to do is just turn them all right side up. This is a little one. Let's actually take the little ones out. They're a little too small maybe. I mean, nothing's too small to be a little tuck spot, but I want to try to keep it. I'm going to take that one out too. Try to keep it to reasonable sizes. Yeah, okay. Now let's grab my stickers. Okay, I'm just going to go from the antiquarian sticker book today. I want to do like nice florals, I think. This one. So these diagrams are from Old Electronics, an Old Electronics book. It's really very cool. I'm going to put this one on this side. Tulips. That's too big, but it's pretty. I might center it enough so that you can see what I'm looking at here. So not just describing what I'm seeing and then you can't see anything. All right, there's a nice little one. So let's move those. Those are done. Yeah, let's use this one. Maybe on here. Yeah. An owl might be kind of cool too. So I have to find the right sized image. That's a good one. Let's do that this way. This one, we'll just do a little one right here. And then we need something a bit bigger for the other one. And this will be the last one because we are getting close to time. And I'm not trying to go over. Those are nice, but they're a little small. Schmall. That could be cute too. I'm actually starting to get through this book. I have another copy of it. I got a couple copies of it because I just thought it was so pretty. I also have the bibliophile one. I don't have the latest one that they've released. The Imaginarium. I don't have that one. Maybe a sunflower. Yeah. Okay. Oh, this loud ruler. Why? Let's see how many we made here, okay? It's a lot. We might have a new record, I don't know. Oh my gosh. Okay, so tuck spots, little tuck spots, big tuck spots. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25. Oops, I missed backing that one. Let's just set that aside. 26. Oh, there's the backing. We just gotta glue it. 26, 26, 26. I think I just missed gluing, maybe. Every now and then. Okay, 27. Oops. 28, 29, 30. This one doesn't count. I just set that aside. 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 30. That doesn't count. 39, 40, 41, 42, 43, 44, 45, 46, 47, 48, 49, 50, 51. Look how cute they are together. 52, 53, 54, 55, 56, 57, 58, 59, 60, 61, 62, 63, 64, 65, and 66. 66 tuck spots, you guys. Is it a new record? Yes, it is, because we made 62 page tabs. So, 66 tuck spots. Yay! Alright, so that's it for me for now. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you tomorrow with more Mass Make March. Bye for now.